Hello and welcome back to another week of Wisdom for the Weekend. So I wanted to just share a little story with you about results that I got back from my 23andMe. And my title this week for this Wisdom for the Weekend is going to be Trusting the Wisdom Within. And the reason why I'm calling it this is because there was this beautiful revelation to me that happened. I got back my 23andMe and I did the whole health profile and ancestry. And come to find out that before I even tell you what I am 75% of, I want to backtrack and quickly just mention that I have lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And from the minute I went there, for the very first time before I even moved there, I was there on a conference and fell in love. I drove up from Albuquerque to Santa Fe and fell in love with Santa Fe. And I remember distinctly the night that I was leaving to head back home, and this was just, a conference trip. I just was crying my eyes out. And I'm like, this is so strange. Why am I crying so much? I'm just going back home, And at this time I was living in Connecticut and working in Manhattan. So, I got home and about a month later, I decided that I really needed to be in Santa Fe. I needed to live there. I needed to be there. I was longing for it so deeply. And I think it was about a month and a half later, I quit my job. I was working full time. It was one of my first NP positions in Manhattan. And I pretty much packed up my car, got my cat, drove cross country to Santa Fe. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have a job. I didn't even have a place to live. I had nothing. I was just kind of being led. I let myself be led like on a crazy, like who does that, right? And I get down there. While I was driving, I actually had printed out several pages from Craigslist, and I was like, oh, I've got a couple of days on the road. I'll make phone calls. I'm sure I'll find a place to live. And I did. And I found a place to live and I found a job. I literally was knocking on doors, and I was received with open arms, and I had more than enough jobs. I had more than enough, income, surprisingly, coming in from several per diem jobs. And then finally I started working full time. And there was always this deep, deep love for Santa Fe. I left there to move up to Boulder because I was being offered a really cool opportunity to take over a women's integrative health practice where a very successful NP was retiring and she needed someone to take over a practice. So I stepped into that role. I said yes without really even knowing what the hell I was doing, and left Santa Fe. But Santa Fe has always, always, always had a very special place in my heart. It's always been a place that every time I go to visit and I leave, I am hysterical crying. And that may sound really sweet. And it just, has for years baffled me as to my connection to Santa Fe. For me, it feels very sacred. It feels very, I don't know if holy is the word I want to use, but it's very sacred to me. A very sacred place. And it feels like I'm home, So I get my results from 23andMe, and lo and behold, 74% of my ancestry comes. I'm a Native American Indian from New Mexico, which is, I read these results and literally burst into tears. It felt like, oh my God, yes, now I know, after all of these years, like, and the reason why I was like so crazy to get back out there again. Like, I left everything here. My family, my friends, my job. I just quit. I didn't have anything in Santa Fe. And I did that for like just being pulled to go there. And here I am, like, reading these results, and I'm thinking to myself, this totally makes sense to me. No wonder this feels like home. So this week's wisdom for the weekend is trusting your inner wisdom. And I never knew about any of my ancestry. As far as I knew, my parents, they're from Peru, and so that's all really that I knew. And, coming to find out a little bit more, it just, like, my soul just knew. It knew that there was a connection here. And I think it's so beautiful. And, me allowing myself to be led there. So now I'm planning a trip this year. I kind of feel now that I feel almost reverence to the land. Like, I feel like I really should be going there more often than I do now, because it feels so good when I'm there. It just really does. And I don't know. I think that when you know and feel something, to just trust it. And my body knew, like, there was something in me that just knew that New Mexico was just like, it's my place where I long to be. And once I was out there for this conference, it totally sparked something in me, huge. And now, let's see, when did I moved out there in 2004. So literally 13 years later, I finally, like, have sort of an answer as to why I'm so pulled to the land. And I just think it's a beautiful thing to just allow yourself to feel and know and acknowledge the wisdom that you have within you, and know that there is just something so much deeper and so much bigger than you will ever know, that is leading you, that is guiding you. And sometimes you just need to just allow it and, like, let it, and just, like, flow with it. Because trust me, I didn't ask anyone's permission or, like, hey, what do you think? I'm thinking about moving to Santa Fe. I don't know. I have, like, a pretty decent job in Manhattan. I don't really know anybody. I don't have a job. I mean, most people would be like, you're crazy. You don't even have a job. Like, how are you going to support yourself? Like, you don't know anybody. How do you expect yourself to do that? But it all worked out. Like, somehow it miraculously all worked out. And I had the faith. I knew it was going to work out. I'm like, you know what? It's fine. I mean, of course I'll find a place to live. And of course I'll find a place to work. And I did. So this weekend, as you're listening to this, I just want you to trust your inner wisdom a little more. And if there's something that you're just like, oh, yes, I know. This feels so right. This feels so good. This is the thing. Or you just know. Trust that. Just allow yourself to trust it. Don't get your mind all up in it. Like calculation. I mean, because if I were to really start thinking logically about, should I really quit a good paying job to just move cross country to a place that I don't know a single person and try to make it? I mean, I mean, that sounds a little insane, and it does. But I'm known to do some insane things throughout my life. And you know what? I don't have any regrets, because the universe just course corrects. You make a wrong move, or so you think is wrong, and then there's another path and another path. So you never really are making a bad choice or a bad decision. So thank you for listening for this week's Wisdom for the Weekend. I hope it inspired you to just be a little more quiet and listen a little more deeply. Thank you so much for listening week after week. Much love, big hugs, and I'll talk to you all next week. Have the most amazing weekend. Take care. Bye for now.